You have understood who the real you is. You have understood what potential you carry and the limitless capacity that God has given you to flourish and be a blessing to your generation and generations hereafter. You have come to understand that your source is God, and He places demands on the potential that He has placed in you out of Himself. So, in essence, you have been able to discover the hidden you. And that was the purpose of our journey through the first book, Understanding Your Potential by Dr. Myles Munroe. Now it is time to release that potential that you have discovered, that understanding that you have gotten about who you are, what you have, and all that you can do. It is time to manifest it. It is time to expose that hidden you. And this brings us to the second book in the Potential series by Dr. Myles Munroe, who has been a blessing to many, including myself and many across the world and generations here and to come. The second book we'll be considering through our reflections will be releasing your potential, exposing the hidden you. And I believe that you'll stick around with me as I share with you key reflections from each of the chapters. Today we'll focus on what we can pick from the preface and the introduction of the book. The preface and the introduction of the book. I am Wisdom, your host. So there are a number of things we'll be looking at: the tragedy of unreleased potential. How will you be remembered? Maintain the right environment, work the master key, and a number of key lessons that would shape our lives. Now, from the preface, it begins with the statement: the poorest person in the world is the person without a dream. The poorest person in the world is the person without a dream. And this is a very serious statement because dreams represent our ability, our capacity to look beyond the current situation, to look beyond our current status and make a projection into the future. So would hear it being said that if you dream, dream big, because the dreams that we have represent the desires of our future, the aspirations that we have. So an individual who has no aspiration for the future has no projection of what the future should look like, has no vision for the future, has um, no idea that is driving them concerning tomorrow. That person is poor. That person has a limited chance of making it in life. And the most frustrated person in the world is the person with a dream that never becomes a reality. So you can have the dream, but if that dream does not come to pass, if that vision, that projection of the future that keeps a hold of you, if it doesn't become a reality, then your life is frustrated. And this is something we reflected on in understanding your potential, where we mentioned that it is not enough to have an idea. It takes you to work out that idea, to commit yourself to the idea until it is done. And so we do not end with dreams, we do not end with aspirations. We end with a manifestation, a release, and an exposure of that dream into reality. And this is what we'll be discovering from the book. So I am certain that every individual on this planet, no matter which race, culture, nationality, or socio-economic status, has had a dream of some sort. The ability of children to dream is a natural instinct instilled by the Creator. And by dream, some may be looking at it in relation to when you go to sleep or you go to bed and then you have certain, dreams. That is not really what we are talking about. God has given us an ability to think beyond the now, for us to have certain visions, certain revelations of ourselves and of the tomorrow. And this is what drives our motivation. This is what drives us to want to become so and so in future. So the dreams that we have are naturally instilled in us by the Creator, our God, who is the source of all potential. So the dreams we have are visual manifestations of the purpose for which we are designed. Seeds of destiny planted in the soil of our imagination, which in understanding your potential, we said is a key ability God has given us. The ability to imagine things and bring them into being by writing it down, making a plan and executing it. So whatever vision we have, whatever dreams we have, whatever aspirations we have, God has designed it as part of our human nature to have these so that they will drive us. And if as an individual you do not understand the place of dreams in your life and you do not have dreams that will be guiding you, then you are in trouble. There is a purpose for our existence, and that purpose is manifested in the aspirations and dreams that guide our lives. It is a fact that every manufacturer makes a product to fulfill a specific purpose, and every product is designed with the ability to fulfill this purpose. And this is something we established in the previous book. However, when it comes to potential, the fact that a seed has the potential to become a plant and turn into a forest and all that does not mean that it will. The fact that a farmer has certain seed and plants it, with the expectation that this seed will sprout forth and produce after its kind, does not mean that that will necessarily happen. There are certain conditions that are needed to ensure that this seed sprouts out. So the conditions of life that we need to find and fit ourselves in will determine whether the seed of greatness, the potential that God has hidden in us, whether or not that will sprout forth, whether it will be exposed or not. You may have discovered that the seed has potential, but it takes more than just discovering that it has potential to produce a forest. It takes more to expose that potential by ensuring that that seed ends up bearing forth fruits by becoming a plant, a tree, a forest in that order. Having ability is good, but keeping ability is bad. If you have the ability to produce after your kind, which is what God designed in the beginning, the plants produce after their kind, the animals produce after their kinds, humans produce after our kind. All things have been created to function and produce after their kind. But if the purpose for your creation is not exposed, it's not achieved, it is just like me buying a gadget and that gadget cannot be used for anything. The gadget may have capacity to perform the roles that the designer or originator designed it to do or perform. But if I lack the knowledge of how this machine or gadget should be operated, or there's a defect with the gadget in one way or the other, that ability it has will be kept. It will not be exposed. So having ability is good, but it is not enough. That ability needs to be manifested, needs to be manifested. And one key thing from the preface is that living with ability brings responsibility. Dying with ability reveals irresponsibility. And in understanding your potential, we mentioned that our potential demands that we place certain responsibilities on it. If you do not place a responsibility on your potential, it will die. That is why God, in creating man and making him in his own image and after his likeness, with all the ability he placed in man, he says, be fruitful and multiply. Be in charge of all that I have set, in creation. I want you to be the agent that causes a multiplication, and fruitfulness should be your hallmark. So he places a certain responsibility on the ability he has given you, because without a responsibility, without a certain functioning happening, you will die with all the ability you have. So when you live with ability, if you have potential, it means that more responsibility is placed on you. There's this age-old quote that says that uneasy is the head that wears the crown, or heavy is the head that wears the crown. This is giving an indication that when you are expected to produce certain results, it comes with a responsibility. It comes with a certain demand that would be corresponding to the results that are associated with whatever ability or potential you have been given. If you die with the ability, it means that you were irresponsible. If you struggle in wearing the crown to produce the results that are required, then it means that you were not able to handle the responsibilities that come with qualifying to wear the crown. So everything in creation has been designed by God to function in a particular way, and he works, as we mentioned, in understanding your potential with the potential principle. What could be, what more there is to achieve, what more there is to expose out of your potential, rather than what is now. So on that principle of what could be rather than what is also another principle that we'll be examining in this particular book, the principle of receiving and releasing. Receiving and releasing. What you have received, what you have, what has been placed in you is important for the functioning that you are supposed to function. So in releasing what you have received, then it would give an indication that indeed you are functioning, you are being effective, you are taking responsibility, you are not dying with ability, but you are living with ability. The results of knowing this and knowing that whoever receives a lot is supposed to give more. To whom much is given, much is required. So unreleased potential is not only useless, it is dangerous, both for the person or thing that failed to release it and for everything that lives with them. Dormant potential is not healthy. It is not, advantageous. It is not safe, and it is not effective. You must understand that your valuable deposit of potential was given to enrich the lives of others. When potential is kept, it self-destructs. This is a very important notice to all of us. And we have no excuse whatsoever to give for failing. And if you recall the account of the 3 servants who were given talents, according to the scriptures, one received 5, one received 2, one received only 1 talent. And the others who received more because they understood what it means to be responsible and produce after the kind that they have received, they doubled what the master gave them. The instructions were clear, even if the master did not indicate that I expect more when I return from what I have given you. If there is a certain position that you are placed in, if there's a certain potential that has been recognized with you, there's a demand that you produce and release based on what you have received. And the man who received 5, the servant who received 2, were able to release what they have received in double fold. And because of that, the master said, there is more responsibility for you, and there's more enjoyment for you. There's more reward for you, because you have been faithful in little, you would be faithful in the greater ones I'll bring your way. The one who received only 1 buried it, and that is potential that was not released. And that dormant potential, that potential that was kept, became his own distraction, because the 1 talent he received was taken away from him and he was cast away by the master. We have no excuse that would justify the fact that we kept our potential and we couldn't release it. Ignorance, we say, is no excuse. So no excuse can be given to justify the distraction of the seed of potential that God placed within you. You can become the man or woman you were born to be. You can accomplish the vision you saw when you were a child. You saw last 2 weeks, last month, last 3 years, last 5 years. You can achieve and accomplish that vision. You can build that business you planned when you were younger, that business idea that came to you. You can build it. You can develop the school that you imagined. You are the only one who can stop you. God will not stop you. Nobody can stop you, irrespective of how they do not like you and how they are against you. You are the only one who can stop yourself. And one way you stop yourself is by giving excuses to why you cannot, when God says that you can. No matter what your environment is, no matter what your training and upbringing and background has been, there is potential in you. And if that potential is left dormant, you are self-distracting, and you would affect the blessings that other generations and others in your generation would have received from you. Tap the untapped, release the reservoir is the final statement of the preface. Tap the untapped, release the reservoir. There's a lot that God has placed in you. You are a well of great potential. If that well remains covered, nobody can draw out of it, then there is trouble. There is distraction that is going to happen, because a time will come that reservoir will be filled with that potential that will go waste. And at the end of the day, many will die. Although there was a well that was situated in their community, full of potential, full of leadership, full of business ideas, full of, a lot of things that could have benefited the community. But because it was kept, because it was not released, they ended up suffering all their time and all their life. Tap the untapped, release the reservoir. The introduction, we pick some key things. And one thing, as we have reiterated over and over again, is the fact that hidden in everything is the potential to fulfill itself and produce much more than we can see. Produce much more than we can see. In the first book, Understanding Your Potential, if you recall, we mentioned from the beginning concerning a tree that was cut down, and the owner felt it was useless. It could only be used for firewood. But there was a sculptor who saw that wood that was cut down and thought to be useless and was able to carve a bed that the owner of the tree later came to buy at a very high price. Hidden in that tree that was cut down and felt to be useless was potential to fulfill itself and produce something that only the sculptor could see. God is seeing something in you. He sees something about you that others may not see and you yourself may not see. And that is why it is important that, having discovered who you are also able to release what you have. The ability to be fruitful and the potential to multiply and replenish and subdue were present in the man, waiting to be activated, tapped, and released. And this goes back to God's command to Adam and Eve, the first human, to be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Genesis 1, the verse 28. So the ability to be fruitful is in there. The potential to multiply and replenish and subdue were in there. So there is an implication from the command that fruitfulness, meaning releasing our hidden potential and the life that we have, and multiplication, reproducing the hidden potential or hidden life we have, are not dependent on God, but on the individual who possesses that capacity and that ability, that seed that God placed in them. So when he says be fruitful, when he says multiply, increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, when he says that take charge of that business arena, take charge of that leadership, political sphere, that educational field, take charge of a particular project that will feed many children, help the widows. He has placed something in you, and your capacity to be fruitful in that venture does not depend on him again. He has given you all the resources. He has made available his spirit for you to rely on. He has made available his grace. Now it is up to you to work out all that he has placed in you. It is up to you to be fruitful. It is up to you to multiply. It is no longer dependent on God, but it is dependent on you. You have the ability to accomplish everything your God-given purpose demands. Your Creator has given you the responsibility of releasing this precious seed in obedience to his command to be fruitful and multiply. The releasing of your potential is not up to him, but up to you. He has played his part. He has made available all resources in you and all around you. The world, the earth, the creation is waiting for the manifestation, waiting for the release of your potential. Though they may mock you, though they may not see all that is hidden in you, God is looking forward to that release of the potential that would bless many lives and many generations. And glory will be given to him, and his kingdom will be established wherever you find yourself. You can become all that God has designed you to be if you are willing to defy the norm and dare to believe God's assessment of your ability. It's not what you don't know that hurts you. It is what you know that just ain't so. And this statement means that it is not what you don't know. It is not what you are not aware of that really hurts you. Because if I have no knowledge of something, I've not heard about something, it really does not hurt me. But when I know something that is wrong, it's like I have knowledge about a product, and the knowledge I have about that product is wrong. So I'm told that it can do ABC, it can function in this particular manner. And that information that I received was wrong. That was not the original intent of that product. When I get home and I try to apply the knowledge I received on that product, I may end up destroying it. So at the end of the day, I'll be hurt by the knowledge I have that is not the right knowledge. So it's what you know that just isn't so. So the book at the end of the day, I believe, will be helpful to us so that the right knowledge that is needed to release our potential will get it, and it will be a blessing to ourselves and to other people. So in releasing our potential, we'll become ourselves, becoming yourself as God, your creator, originally intended. Nothing is impossible for him who believes. And the introduction ends with a very critical statement. A seed, until it is released, is only a promise of a seed. Until your world begins to find the evidence of what you have, until the world around you begins to see that the seeds of potential in you are beginning to sprout forth in little ways, in the little activities you are doing, in the little engagements you have at the workplace, in your family, wherever you are, in your little world, we begin to see that there are signals of what is hidden in there. It is only a promise of potential that you have. And having a promise is not enough. If the promise is not fulfilled, you will not have done anything much. See you in the next chapter as we begin chapter 1 of the book, Releasing Your Potential. And I know that we will both, all of us, enjoy the journey and will learn a lot that will help us to expose the hidden you. Thank you. And as always, stay positive and always be a blessing. Bye bye.